Fleeing a plague and sitting it out in the countryside was one of the only things most people could do. But the people of the past had nothing to lose by trying what seems like ridiculous tactics to us. So, here are the 10 historic ways that people tried to beat plagues. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and make sure to like our videos. And hit the notification bell for updates. Let's go! Number 10. Smells. It was believed that removing bad smells was one way to stop disease. In 1357, the city of London threatened people with fines if they left any offensively smelly animal products or dung in the streets. There is one group of people is said to have invented a cure for the plague. Four thieves vinegar, also known as Marseille vinegar, was a concoction of vinegar, herbs, spices, and garlic whose strong smell was thought to prevent the plague. The recipe for this mixture was supposed to have been created by a group of four thieves who wanted to break into houses where people had died of the plague without catching it themselves. When apprehended, the thieves surrendered their secret formula to avoid being hanged. Number 9. Masks. Medieval doctors who dealt with plague victims were often seen wearing extraordinary beaked masks. Doctors in their plague gear wore waxed aprons to stop blood and other bodily fluids from getting into their clothes. Leather gloves kept them from touching the patients directly, thus avoiding cross-contamination. In their beaked mask, there was a pair of polished slices of crystals covering their eyes. That allowed them to see clearly and kept droplets of infectious material from reacting to their eyes. The beaked mask also was stuffed with pungent herbs and spices to purify the air they breathed. Not knowing how diseases spread, they thought the putrid aromas of the sick actually caused illness. Number 8. Fires. During Middle Ages, when personal protection was not enough, city authorities sought to drive out diseases by changing the air of the entire city. One of the best ways to do this was to light enormous bonfires whose heat and smoke was thought to clean the air. When the Great Plague of 1655 hit London, an order went out from the Lord Mayor that all inhabitants of the city were to furnish themselves with sufficient quantities of combustible matter to maintain and continue fire burning constantly for 3 whole days and nights. Number 7. Killing of cats. During the Great Plague, the city authorities of London declared that there should be a culling of cats and dogs. Unfortunately, the plague was spread by rats and fleas. Without cats and dogs to keep the rat population down, it is sometimes thought that this measure helped to prolong the length of the plague. In 18th century, it was a common entertainment in France to gather cats in a net or cage and hoist them over a fire to watch them burn to death. The animals' ashes were thought to be a powerful protection against witchcraft and the cause of good luck. Number 6. Bloodletting. Bleeding patients has been a favorite pastime of doctors for millennia. The ancient Dr. Galen, who shaped medical practice for centuries, was such a fan of bloodletting that his fellow doctors mocked him for it. Later years, doctors thought of themselves much more sophisticated than Galen. Rather than simply cutting up patients and letting the blood pour out, they attached leeches to the body to suck out the blood. Leeches were a relatively painless and risk-free way of getting some of your blood out. Number 5. Quarantine. In the Middle Ages, the place where diseases spread the fastest was on ships. People were crammed together in close and unhealthy quarters. This made these vessels the perfect breeding grounds for diseases. Starting in 1448, when a ship reached the city, it was forced to wait at anchor for 40 days before the crew and goods could leave the vessel. This period of 40 days gives us the word quarantine today. Number 4. Astrology. Doctors in the past paid attention to the movements of the planets and the signs of the zodiac to determine the appropriate time to treat specific ailments. The zodiac man image, widely copied in medieval manuscripts, shows the signs of the zodiac associated with particular parts of the body. Ideas still exist today about the influence of celestial bodies, especially the moon, on menstruation and other aspects of health. However, scientific research seems to have disproven such ideas. Number 3. Whipping yourself. In the ancient world, it was thought that plagues were caused by Apollo shooting people down with his invisible arrows. In the Middle Ages, however, people believed it was not Apollo who was spreading disease. Instead, the Christian God was punishing people for their sins. Flagellants were people who thought the best way to rid themselves of sin was to punish their sinful bodies. Number 2. Cannibal cures. In the past, local physician may have prescribed an elixir containing human flesh, blood, or bone. So-called corpse medicine was a disturbingly common practice for hundreds of years. These cannibalistic medicines were thought to have magical properties. By consuming the remains of a deceased person, the patient also ingested part of their spirit, leading to increased vitality and well-being. Before we proceed to top 1, if you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit notification bell so that you will be updated if we have a new upload video in this channel. So, without further ado. Number 1. Excrement. Most disgusting of all, Egyptian physicians used human and animal excrement as a cure-all remedy for diseases and injuries. According to 1500 BC, zebras, papyrus, donkey, dog, gazelle and fly dung were all celebrated for their healing properties and their ability to ward off bad spirits. And that's all for top 10 historic ways to beat plagues. Thank you for watching. Watch out for more interesting contents from this channel soon.